Okay, so welcome to How Do I Progress My Career Virtually? As Eleanor mentioned just there, this is a really pivotal topic at the moment, and we're hoping that you'll take away some top tips from the session to really boost your career in the virtual space as we're all studying and working online as well. So a bit of an update on the agenda for today. We're going to look at networking online and building your connections. That is going to involve talking about LinkedIn as well. We're going to go through some job hunting tips, just talking about developing your skills online. We'll highlight some valuable career resources. Many of you might be using them already, some of you might not be. And then we'll end with some virtual events and workshops that we think will be useful for you to pop into your diary and get access to in the coming weeks as well. So I'd like to kick off with networking. And what I'd like to invite you to do in the chat is just a yes or a no. Do you enjoy networking? So when you hear the word networking, would you say that you enjoy networking, or would you say that I'd rather give it a miss? So just a yes or a no in the chat, just so I can kind of gauge where we're at today. And you've kicked off straight away with a no. Thank you so much for kicking us off there. Anyone else, yes or a no? Do you enjoy networking or not? Real mixture. Often it is a mixture. A lot of us don't enjoy networking. We tend to attribute it to public speaking, going into a room full of strangers, and that kind of fills us with dread sometimes. Amanda, brilliant. A little emoji there as well to bring it to life. So a lot of us don't like networking, and what I want to do is, hopefully, if you can take away anything from today, is to encourage you to start networking and give you some tips of how to network virtually. That's really hopefully going to help boost your career as well. So there's various myths about networking. It's, a lot of people think, especially when you think of LinkedIn, and Eleanor's going to go on to LinkedIn in more detail shortly, but it's about, the number of connections that you have and talking to loads of different people, getting loads of important contacts. And that's not the case at all. It is really looking at, okay, who do I know? Who am I studying with? Who do I work with? Who are my friends? Who are my contacts? It's not about knowing everyone and anyone under the sun. It's about having really meaningful connections for people that can boost your career. So on the left-hand side of the screen here, you can see lots of different things that we associate with networking: opportunities, your career, relationships, communities. And it's really valuable. And many of you, and I'll invite you to pop into the chat if you come into any of these categories, if you're changing careers at the moment and using your degree at Birkbeck to do that. Maybe you're at the early stages of your career and you want to find a job that you're going to love. Maybe you're here to develop your career further. Maybe you've got some years experience under your belt and you're looking to develop your career as well. Some of you might be self-employed or looking to work for yourself in the future. So you might want to look at getting clients and really developing peer network. And this is really what the value of networking can be. And the first thing I want to invite you to do is try to change your mindset when you think about networking. Think about the opportunity that it brings and the positive things that can come from meeting new people, rather than thinking of it as something that's a bit of a chore. It's something that puts us out of our comfort zone, and it's something we don't really want to do. If we can start changing our mindset to see it as a positive thing, then that's a great starting point as well. So think about building your narrative. A lot of you might have heard of the term your elevator pitch. And often the term elevator pitch comes from the scenario if you were to get into an elevator or in a lift with someone and someone asks you that question, so what do you do? And you've got about 20 to 30 seconds while you're riding that elevator to really tell them what you do and make it sound great, right? It's your introduction. So I want you to start thinking about your story, because your narrative is ultimately your story, your journey in your career so far. It's what makes you unique and sets you aside from others in quite a crowded space. And you might have heard, you might have had the question many times before, so what do you do? It might be in interviews, that might be the first question. Tell us a bit about yourself. And often it's this opportunity of this 30-second window to make a great impression for the other person. But it's also where we kick off our networking. So think about the different times when you could tell your narrative and tell your story. I've mentioned interviews there, networking opportunities. So whether that's events or whether that's online networking, LinkedIn will come on to shortly. At the top of your CV, often what we recommend is having a profile paragraph. So again, this is like the introduction to who you are. In social settings, virtually or in person these days. But those questions when you meet new people, so what do you do? It's a question we're not going to get away from too easily. And informational interviews, a quick note on informational interviews. And what we mean by this is when you reach out to someone to ask to grab a few minutes of their time to talk to them about how they got to where they are in their career, what they're doing, and really, they might be able to give you some tips and advice. So what I do recommend doing is reaching out to your connections. Again, it links to what Eleanor's going to say shortly on LinkedIn. If there's people who you find online that you think, actually, they're doing what I want to do, or they're in a position that I'm really interested to find more about, reach out to them to say, hi, I'm Jenna. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm looking to do. I'd love to find more about your career journey. Would you be up for a virtual coffee for 15 minutes this week or at some point? And especially where we're all online these days, it's so much easier for people to say yes. And if you put yourself in those people's shoes, often you would want to help people as well. So just think about that and think about starting to be proactive with your networking, reaching out to people who you know in your network who you might not have connected with for a long time, but also reaching out to new people. Because for everyone who's the worst that's going to happen in that situation is to say, no, I haven't got the time, or they don't respond. Whereas those that do come back, you never know where it's going to lead. So you might be thinking, where on earth do I start with telling my narrative and building this elevator pitch? So when people ask us this question and when we're in these networking situations, we've got the virtual coffee in the diary, where do we start when someone says, so what do we do? And this is quite a really good, good exercise to start thinking about in your own time. And you might want to write some of these questions and pointers down to come back to after the session. But look at some of the main events and experiences that have shaped you in your career. Think about how they're linked. Are they linked through certain skills that you've got, maybe different achievements, your values, different interests that you have? Ask yourself what challenges you've faced as well. How did you face them? How did you overcome them? And those first sort of three areas there, those first three questions will just start to get you thinking, actually, what defines my career so far? If I look at myself, for example, to give you an example, I'm a career changer many times over. It's probably why I'm working with a careers team at Birkbeck. And the thread that I found that linked all of my careers was people. It was developing others. It was helping them in some way, whether that was learning and development, whether that was running people's events, but there was always some element of people development. And it's trying to realize, until I sat down and did this type of exercise, what's the thread throughout my career? And then when you are telling your narrative, try to end with the present. What are you interested? Why are you interested in this particular role or industry? If it's an interview, if you're catching up with someone for coffee and you're trying to find out more about them, try to end with what you're doing now and what's going to benefit you in this conversation. So I'm looking for connections in whatever area, or I'm looking to get into X industry and really sort of building my network in this space. You never know where those connections are going to lead, because they might turn around and say, oh, I know someone who's recruiting for that. That would be amazing right now. But you just never know. And it's a long-term thing as well. I think that's the thing with networking. It's not a short-term tick box exercise that everyone you reach out to is going to be able to move your career forward. Do be patient with it. It is hugely important. Certainly from experience, I've definitely found networking to be the most powerful tool for me to progress my career. And be your narrative to your audience. So think about what event you're attending, think about who you're speaking to, who your audience is, and tailor it for them, and go into that conversation of, what do I want to get out of this as well? So hopefully that's kind of set the scene from the narrative and networking perspective. If you do have any questions as we go along, as I said at the start, please do pop them into the chat. But I'd like to hand over now to Eleanor, who's going to take you on a whistle-stop tour. I've just popped it there on LinkedIn. So Eleanor, I'm going to hand over to you.
Great, thank you. So LinkedIn is a fantastic tool for online networking. We could do a presentation about this for 2 hours, and sometimes we have before, but today we've only got a short time, so we're just going to spend 15 minutes or maybe a bit less than that talking about LinkedIn. And if you've got any more questions or wanting to go into any more details after the presentation, we're really happy to help. A common question that we might get when we're talking to people about LinkedIn, or concerns that we might get about LinkedIn, are things like people say, well, you know, I don't really do social media, or I'm a bit of a technophobe, you know, it's not really my thing. I would really, really emphasize the importance of LinkedIn. I'm a manager and I often recruit for my team. When I receive an application for a role, or when I receive a CV, the first thing that I do is go onto LinkedIn and have a look at that person's LinkedIn profile. Firstly, I'll see whether it matches the information on their application and the information on LinkedIn, to see if they're credible, and to see if they've done what they said they've done. Secondly, in my team, it's important that the people I recruit are outward facing and that they're thinking about their career. So therefore, I need them to have thought about their career enough to do a LinkedIn profile. The LinkedIn profile doesn't have to be the fanciest, buzziest LinkedIn profile ever, but it needs to have enough on it to make me interested, to make me think, right, I want to interview this person. So on a basic level, I would say it's very, very important for your career that you've got some kind of LinkedIn profile. The stat you can see, 95% of recruiters use LinkedIn on a regular basis. So not only do people use it in the way that I use it, to kind of check out people's profiles and check out people's CVs, also a lot of headhunters use it. And a lot of companies, like big companies, will employ someone in their HR team to find potential talent for the company. And what that potential talent, what that person will do is they'll be looking out on LinkedIn for people's profiles that might match their company. We're just going to do a little poll now. So could you, on the poll, put whether or not you have a LinkedIn profile? So just click yes or no. Great, so we can see that most people who've responded have got a LinkedIn profile, which is really good. If you haven't, I'd really urge you to set one up. And if you have got one, again, I'd really urge you to have a look, improve it, make sure it's up to date, and we'll talk a bit more about that. As well as the job hunting stuff we just talked about, so when you're going through a recruitment process, people will use it, or people might use it to find you, to headhunt you for a company or for a job. The other big part of it is networking. So at the moment, we're quite limited in how we can do our networking. We've been going through a period of lockdown where most people have been confined to their houses, their local areas. We haven't been going to conferences, we haven't been going to big events where you might meet people professionally. So tools like LinkedIn are crucial for networking online. The third thing is your personal branding. So really thinking about, with the stuff that Jenna talked about, your narrative, thinking about how to really get that across on LinkedIn, and also thinking about this as a tool for personal branding. So it's what people will look for on LinkedIn. So it's really important that your LinkedIn profile is professional, and you've got information on there that's going to really relate to what you've done and what you want to do. LinkedIn make it really easy to do a profile well. There's 5 levels of status. So how you become an all-star is by basically filling in all of the different sections. So it's very clear, it's very structured what you should do, and there's pointers on there about how to do it. So think about not only putting in where you've worked, like the details you've had on the CV, also things like your skills. On your summary, that's your opportunity to give your pitch, so to talk about your narrative, that summary part. Often we work with career changers who may have worked all in one sector and are looking for a shift to work in another sector. That summary part is that bit where you can communicate that you're looking for that shift. So that's where you can really tell your story. I've worked in this area, but I'm really looking to move into this area, and these are my transferable skills. Also think about a profile picture. It's cringy, not everyone wants to have a profile picture on there. Think about something that's professional, but really we find that that profiles who have a picture get so many more views and get so many more messages. The next thing we'd really encourage you to do is do an audit of your profile. So it might be that you set up your LinkedIn profile 5 years ago when you were looking for a different type of job. It might be that you just did it basically, or someone helped you to do it just so you get something on there. This is a great time to do an audit of your profile. So think about your profile from the point of view of a recruiter. So think about maybe what's your dream job, what's your dream company that you want to work for. If a recruiter from that company was looking at your profile, what would they think? Would they know that you're looking to work in that industry? Would they know that you're looking to work in that job? Think about the content, make sure it's engaging. And also think about the content that you publish. So this could be posts, this could be, there's a feature to write essentially kind of short blogs on LinkedIn. This could be just posting about events that you've been to, it could be posting about things on your course. Think about the content and what you're writing. This is a way you can build your network, because when you publish content, other people see it in their feed, in their news feed. So then they're more likely to connect with you, they're more likely to engage with you. And although you're probably really busy, you're probably working and studying, the last thing really that you want to do after you've been working and studying or on a weekend is take time to do your LinkedIn profile. But we would really encourage you to do it, to just spend a bit of time doing the profile, spend a bit of time auditing the profile, get someone maybe who works in your industry to have a look at the profile and see if it's what they would look for, get some feedback on it, and really see if you can get it to the best point that it can be. That's how you're going to be the most successful in networking, virtually. So really, I'm not going to go through all of these points because, as I say, we can talk to you about LinkedIn all day. But really think about the content. Really think about what you're writing on there. Is it relevant? Is it interesting? And think about the profile headline. Everywhere you go on LinkedIn, that will follow you. So if you've got a random or outdated profile headline, then anyone who clicks on you or sees you will see that. Okay, so we just talked about posting. So these are the kind of things that you could post. So an event or seminar you're presenting could also be an event or seminar you're attending. And it could be, at the moment, obviously, a virtual event or seminar. So just something relating to your career goals or your achievements. It could be an online article or blog post of yours or someone else's. So if you are publishing content, especially if you're looking for a role that relates to marketing or digital media or any kind of online promotion, then this is a really great free way that you can publish content. We often, at Talent, we often recruit for social media interns, or we recruit for marketing interns. And if we get a CV of someone and they haven't got a LinkedIn profile, or they have, it's very basic, but they've never posted anything, it seems like a real waste. In other industries, you've got that classic thing of how do you get a job without experience, and how do you get experience without a job? The amazing thing about tech and also about social media, digital media, is that actually you can build that online portfolio yourself. You can build an online portfolio of content that then other people can look at, and you can do that even before you've got a job in that area. So we'd really urge you to make the most of that. Also think about accomplishments within your current company. So anything you're doing or contributing, any kind of activities with your networks, and any kind of seminar or event that you've attended or you will be attending. We're on LinkedIn, so this is a shameless plug for Birkbeck Futures. We use our LinkedIn to let you know about jobs, upcoming new jobs that we're posting. We let you know on there about events, any upcoming events. We also have a tip of the day, so weekly we'll publish a tip of the day which tells you how to improve your careers and employability chances. We have transformational videos from Anna, who's one of our fantastic employability consultants, and you can access those at any time. So if you follow us on LinkedIn, you'll be able to get access to all of this information. So these are our top tips for LinkedIn. First of all, invite people to recommend you. So the recommendation section is a bit the same as on a CV. People used to write like references on request, or sometimes people used to include like excerpts of references from their previous manager or their mentor or someone that knew them, to kind of give them credibility and give them and sell their strengths. Really, the recommendations section of LinkedIn is the more updated version of that. So if you've got anyone who works in the sector you want to work in, maybe you've got a previous manager, maybe you've got a client that you've worked with, if you contact them and ask them to recommend you, you could even kind of give them some guidance on how you want them to recommend you, what you want them to recommend in terms of your skills and achievements, and then ask them to write the recommendation. And then you've got that really good kudos and gravitas with new employers, because you've got this recommendation from people who they respect. LinkedIn groups are great. So there's lots and lots of groups on LinkedIn. I think it's an area of LinkedIn that people don't use enough. There's so many related to every different industry. We've got a alumni LinkedIn group, which you could all join now that you're Birkbeck students. And that's a great way to network with any Birkbeck alumni. We've got thousands of people on there. So have a look at the groups. There's also groups related to different Birkbeck societies, and also ones related to your desired career. So really have a search for the groups, have a look on the groups, and then if you're posting any content, you can post that on the groups. Also, the groups work in a kind of community way. So you can also put questions for people in your industry sector. If you're looking to get an internship in a particular area, or you've got a particular question about your CV, you could ask someone in one of those groups. That's a great way to get feedback from people within your particular industry sector. Also, when you're looking to make connections, normally you can only connect with people who are 3 kind of levels away from you. So you can connect with people that are 2 connections away, and people that are 3 connections away. In groups, you can connect with, if you're in the same group as someone, you're able to connect with them. So also joining groups really maximizes the number of people that you can have in your network. You can get job alerts on LinkedIn if you're actively looking for a job now. And think about your brand identity. So use photos and articles and media samples that are really directed to your new career path. Really think about start building your network. So make sure you can do lots of different searches to find people that you might want to build a network. And it's fantastic these days that if you wanted to work within Amazon, within tech, you could literally search on LinkedIn for Amazon Technology London, and you can find managers, you can find HR people, and you can literally contact them and reach out to them directly. So it's fantastic that you can really get directly to people within companies that you want to work in. What we would really emphasize is that you personalize your request. So rather than just sending the standard request to connect, really think about what you want to get from that person, why you've connected with them, why you're looking to connect with them, and also your narrative. So the stuff we were talking about at the start. Really make sure that you personalize the request and you give them information so that you make them want to connect with you. You can also ask for introductions and referrals. And you can customize your feed, so follow relevant people and topics. So you can unfollow people, they won't see that you've unfollowed them. So if you're getting a lot of spam from someone, you can just unfollow them, but make sure that then you're following people that are relevant. So these are the do's and don'ts of LinkedIn. Again, I'll just give you a few moments to read through these. And I'll hand over to Jenna for job hunting tips.
Awesome. Thanks, Eleanor. I'm just going to go back slightly because the one that I think is a really key one to mention here on the don't list is simply click connect without a personal note. So to really boost your chances of connecting, broadening your network with people, especially on LinkedIn, is to connect with them with a personal note. So when you do click connect, please do make sure you are personalizing your connections as much as possible. 100% of the time, I'd say, when I get connection requests from people who don't personalize it, and if I haven't connected with them or I don't know who they are, and then I'm not going to agree to connect with them. So do personalize it, and it's a great way to have that introduction. Even something like, hi, John, notice that you work in X sector. I'm looking to explore this area further as well. I'd love to keep up to date here on LinkedIn with your journey. Something like that, that's going to boost your chances of connecting with them. And then you can also follow up once they've connected with a more in-depth message. I have just kept my video off for now because my internet's a little bit dodgy, so I'm trying to increase the chances of you hearing me. So if I do drop off, or if anyone loses me, just pop in the chat if I'm cutting out a little bit. So some do's and don'ts there on LinkedIn, and then we're going to go into job hunting. So job hunting virtually, a lot of us do that anyway. What would be great, I don't know, if I can ask you to do a poll, that would be brilliant, because it would be great to kind of get a test for how you job hunt and kind of the most popular tools that you use to job hunt as well. But while we do that, I just want to kick off the job hunting section with, I guess, a call to action to really have a game plan. So here's a quote that I love: without strategy, execution is aimless. Without execution, strategy is useless. And the real takeaway for me there is that we could have these amazing goals with our career, and we could have a plan of action. But if we don't actually take action and execute that plan, we're still going to be standing still and doing the same thing that we're doing. So do make a plan for your career. If you've got goals, brilliant. I highly recommend setting goals, especially this year. It has been such a bonkers year, and it is a very different world than we thought it would be in terms of being virtual. If you look ahead to the next couple of months, the last couple of months of the year, what do you want to achieve for the rest of 2020? And then look ahead to 2021. What do you want to achieve in 2021 as well? So do try setting yourself some goals if you haven't already. I do recommend that, because making a plan of action is key. So we've just got the poll here. I'd love for you to interact with it if you can. So what job hunting tool do you use the most? So is it general websites such as Indeed, Reed, those types of ones? Is it LinkedIn? Is it a sector specific website? So maybe it's to do with your industry, or is it word of mouth and your network? So I guess the most useful one that you find, and if your most useful job hunting tip isn't on there, please do pop it in the chat if there's something else that you do more often than not. And we'll just give it a bit of time, and then we'll share the responses with you. So as we're going, it's looking like most people really actually split general website and sector specific website. And that's really interesting. And the reason why I think general websites are great to get mammoth amounts of jobs that are out there. Obviously, at the moment, certain sectors don't have as many jobs as they would normally, but it is really generic. A lot of people will use general websites for job hunting, and that's when you'll hear stats of hundreds of people going for the same job, and it is getting more and more competitive. Sector specific websites are great to get some insights into what's available in your particular industry. Again, everyone in your industry will likely be having that as one of their job hunting tools as well. So just think about that as well. Rebecca, you've popped in the chat there. Job board, like TimeWise, Change Board. Thanks for adding that as well. Absolutely. And job boards are great. I think what I'd like to get across is not making sure that these aren't your only job hunting technique. And we'll go on to sort of some tips as well. So first of all, get some clarity. Get some clarity on what you want from your next job or what you want from your career. And these are some questions to ask yourself, similar to what we did earlier with some questions looking ahead at your narrative. What about your job hunting techniques and what you want from your career? So what are your passions? What are your key skills? Have you thought about what type of role you see yourself in? I mentioned goals. Having short-term and long-term goals, I think, is brilliant because it gives us a strategy, but it means we do need to act to implement them. What type of organisation do you want to work with? Is it that you do want to work with a large corporate, or would you prefer to be with a startup or a smaller business? What industry is it that you're working in? What skills do you need to develop to get into this industry as well? And some of these questions, especially the skills side of things and who can help you, this is where the networking element really comes in to progress your career as much as possible. So you might ask people, what skills do you need to be in this particular industry? That might be part of your conversation with them when you're networking. And who do you know who can help you? Think outside the box as much as possible with this. Think about who you worked with back in the day, who might be on LinkedIn. You can reconnect with them on that. People that you were connected to previously, you think, I haven't spoken to them for years. Reach out to them, because if the shoe was on the other foot and they reached out to you, you're probably likely to accept their connection and actually get in contact with them as well. So firstly, get some clarity before you go ahead, and then take action, like I said. And it could be a range of different things that you do, but I've got some checklists here I think will hopefully make your job hunting more strategic. So firstly, sort out your socials. And I say sort out your socials, it sounds a bit mean, doesn't it? But similar to what Eleanor was saying, take a little bit of an audit of your LinkedIn profile, because your digital footprint is real. Recruiters will research you, especially on LinkedIn. So do an audit of your LinkedIn profile. Worth looking at other social platforms that you're on, just to see what recruiters can see as well. But LinkedIn certainly is the main one. Do your industry research. What are the trends that are happening now, especially this year since COVID? Have industries changed? Have they pivoted? And go from there as well. Let people know that you're looking. LinkedIn has a tool now where you can say open to work. So let people know what you're looking for and that you are looking for jobs, because word of mouth is great. You never know what conversations other people are having, and they might then think of you for certain jobs and opportunities as well. I've put their CVs. Refresh your CV, keep your CV as updated as possible, and tailored CVs only. The reason why we say to tailor your CV, now the CV is an interesting tool. It gives us about 2 pages to impress someone and make them put us into that yes pile when we interview them. And it is really, really tough. But do tailor your CV to the industry and the organisation that you're applying for, because it's going to give you so much more chance of getting on that interview list as well. So the ways that I would say to tailor your CV are in your profile. So really tailoring it to make sure they know that you're interested in this particular industry, the skills that are relevant to that industry, and then ending with the present, what you're looking to do. And then you'll often have a key skills section of your profile as well. So tailor those skills to what the job description looks at, and really playing to your strengths there as well. I've mentioned cover letter and email templates. Do tailor them as well, and also do your interview prep. So with interview preparation, do your research on the organisation and the industry as well. Get creative with your job hunting. There's so many great examples of different ways of job hunting. You've probably seen the stories. Years ago, I think I saw one where someone stood with a sandwich board outside Waterloo Station saying, I would love a job, these are my skills, and someone snapped him up for a job. I'm not necessarily saying go as extreme as that, but do think outside the box. Eleanor mentioned sort of marketing industries. Be quite creative with your CV. Be creative with your cover letters or emails that you're reaching out to people. Could you send them some examples of your work? Don't just rely on the general websites and even just the sector specific websites and the jobs that you can see online, because there is a hidden job market, and that is through word of mouth and through recommendations. And LinkedIn's an awesome tool to do that. But do get talking to as many people as you can as you're trying to navigate your job hunting techniques. I'm going to hand back over to Ellen. I just wanted to make a point quickly, because I know someone mentioned about templates and the online careers portal. Just to reiterate what Ellen said, we will mention that at the end. So Eleanor, back over to you for more about talent.
Thank you. So Birkbeck Talent is a recruitment service specifically dedicated to Birkbeck students and graduates. As a starting point, you can go onto our jobs board and you can search through the roles that have been specifically curated for Birkbeck students and graduates. So any job that's listed on there we will have spoken to the employer, we will have had a conversation with them about Birkbeck students. They'll understand the nature of Birkbeck students and the fact that people work in the daytime and study in the evening. And the people that are posting on there, the employers that are posting on there, have come to us because they really see the benefit of Birkbeck students. They see that Birkbeck students are good at managing their time, they're resilient, they're really interested in progressing their career, and that's why they're studying at Birkbeck. So they're employers that are specifically interested in Birkbeck students. We cover a really wide range of sectors. So have a look on the jobs board. If there's nothing specific, exactly what you want when you have a look, you can still sign up with us, and then you'll get our regular bulletins. You can also follow us on social media so you can see the types of roles that we're getting up. So even if there's not something that exactly fits the bill when you have a look, I still encourage you to sign up with us. We offer support throughout the recruitment process. So if you're going for jobs or internships through us, and you send us a CV and we think your CV needs a little bit of work, we can refer you to our wonderful careers team, and also to our alumni who offer careers clinics. Once you get an interview through Talent, you'll then get a mock interview either with one of our alumni who's worked in that sector, or with, again, a wonderful careers team. So it means you go for the interview and you're really, really well prepared for that interview. We offer a real range of roles. So it could be that, and we do this to suit the varied nature of Birkbeck students. So we offer a lot of entry-level roles, but we also offer mid-career and more senior roles as well. So don't be put off Talent because you think it's something only for people at the start of their career or only for people who are further on in their career. It's for everyone who's at Birkbeck. Our internship program is a really, really good way to take the next step in your career. We looked at changing the name of internships because internships has got this connotation that it's only for young people. Internships is something that maybe you do when you haven't got any other job and you haven't had any other experience, and that internships is something you don't get paid for. Actually, at Talent, that's not the case. So all of our internships are paid, and we see them as professional, short-term roles in a growing business. So they're really, really good if you're a career changer, if you're looking for a role in a new sector or a new type of role. Internships are a really, really good way to try out that particular role and get some experience in it. Also, these are normally with small businesses or startups, so it's a great way to get experience working in the startup or small business sector. And what that brings is often as well, you'll get a really varied experience because you'll be working in a small company, you'll get exposure to lots of different aspects of the company. We've switched to remote internships at the moment due to the current situation, and we've got a lot of remote internships that we're advertising at the moment. So this is something that you can do during the current climate, and often the remote internships might be part-time, so they can fit really well with either your current work or with your current study. And you can access all of this through your My Birkbeck profile. So when you log on to My Birkbeck, this is the screen that you'll see, and in the bottom right-hand corner is Birkbeck Talent. So you can click on there to sign up with us and also to search through all of our jobs. I'll hand back over to Jenna.
Awesome, thanks, Eleanor. So yeah, definitely do check out Talent for part of your job hunting techniques. That's certainly part of that section that we wanted to let you know about. But how else can you progress your career? Actually, developing your skills is an awesome way to do that, and there's so many opportunities, platforms out there to be able to develop your skills for free online as well. It doesn't mean that you have to do sort of more paid courses and things like that. So I just want to go through some of the platforms that we recommend, and we mentioned the online careers portal. We're going to go through how that can help you as well. So aside from the online careers portal, many of you may have interacted with LinkedIn Learn as well. Super awesome resource. I'll go into more detail shortly. There's also a platform called the Digital Garage, which is a Google platform. And all of these things are free access to boost your career while you're a Birkbeck student as well. So to start with the online careers portal, log into your My Birkbeck profile. That's the page to log in, and then very similar, once you've logged in, go to the careers and employability box that's highlighted there. So Birkbeck Talent's on the bottom right corner, careers and employability, that button will take you into the online careers portal, ready to go. And then this will be the home page that you have access to. So it's personalized for you. You'll be welcomed there with your name at the top. And then you've got lots of different things that you can access. Now, there is so much on here and it can be quite overwhelming. So I'm just going to highlight some of them for you as well. On the top row, you can see early careers, career change, established careers. These are bespoke programs that you can take depending on what stage of career that you're at. So they're online programs that we've developed depending on if you're at the early stage of your career, if you're changing careers or going through a transition, or if you've got more experience and looking to progress further. So worth checking those out because they're dedicated programs to complete that will help with your building your knowledge and your skills. You can also look at the self-awareness box there, just below there in the middle, and also workplace skills on the middle row on the right hand side. There's a lot of videos, reports, articles that you can access throughout the portal. So I do recommend getting in touch and playing around with it. We have got some videos on our YouTube channel of how to navigate the portal if it is a little bit overwhelming on there as well. LinkedIn Learning, as a Birkbeck student, you do have free access to this. So this used to be a Linda, it used to be called Linda, some of you might remember it for that. It's now LinkedIn Learning, and it's a massive library of online courses. So it started back in the day as more tech courses for coding, and it's developed now to be covering everything from leadership, management, yes, coding, but lots of soft skills and hard skills as well. So if you haven't already checked it out, do have a look at LinkedIn Learning. You'll be able, if you can Birkbeck students LinkedIn Learning on Google, it will probably take you straight there. But we can also share the links afterwards as well. But definitely recommend maximizing this year, especially while we are all virtual and online. If you find yourself all very busy, but if you do find yourself with a bit of time, each week putting aside some time to upskill, it's a great way, and you can then share that on LinkedIn as well. So if you complete a course, you can then share that you've completed that course and you've now got that skill on LinkedIn, and that's going to help with networking and progressing your career. That's what it looks like. So that's sort of the home page. So you can see some of those there: introduction to social media strategy, being confident on camera, how to develop your career plan, loads of different stuff. So please do check that out to boost your career as well. And then finally, Digital Garage. This started out as sort of a way to grow your business, but it's also a career development platform as well. So you can improve your interview skills on here, prepare for your career, and this is sort of an insight into what it looks like as well. So again, that's all accessible online. And finally, some additional career resources for you. Eleanor, did you want to jump in on this one? I'll carry on this one, no worries. So we've got the career drop-ins. Some of you may have looked at this already, but our career drop-ins are taking place Tuesday to Thursday, 4 till 6 p.m. via Microsoft Teams. If you go to the careers webpage, you'll be able to get the link to access that. You don't need an appointment. That's really just to have a 10-minute conversation with one of our amazing advisors. It could be that you want to have a quick look at your CV, ask some advice on your career, anything at all. We do have, as part of the online careers portal that I mentioned earlier, a tool called CV 360. And I think someone asked about CV templates as well. There's loads of CV templates on the portal. And CV 360 is a tool on there where you upload your CV and you get instant feedback to see how it would match up to an applicant tracker system. So applicant tracker systems are used quite a lot, especially with large organisations. And you upload your CV, you do your application, and it goes through sort of an online robot, if you like, to filter out keywords, grammar, and things like that. So do have a look at that. We've got a brand new Interview 360, which will help with your interview techniques too. We've got a podcast, so the Futures podcast, all of those are available on the portal. We're talking to Birkbeck alumni, but also startup founders, employers, people with loads of great career advice. And we also, as part of Talent, run the online alumni clinics. So you can have a one-to-one with a Birkbeck alumni as well to get their advice and feedback. So loads of stuff that you can access, and all of this is completely virtual and really will help in your career as well. We do have various events that you can get involved with. So the best way to find these is on the Birkbeck events page. So at the link there, bbk.ac.uk/events, or if you type it into Google, you'll come to this page and you can filter by tags. So if you select careers, and enterprise and entrepreneurship, that will with all of the Birkbeck Futures events that you can access. And I'll tell you about a couple that are coming up soon to pop into your diaries. This is the big one. We have our Birkbeck Annual Careers Fair coming up in just a couple of weeks. So in terms of progressing your career virtually, this is a perfect opportunity and very good timing that we've timed this event as well. So we usually run an annual careers fair. We tend to host it at Senate House. Obviously, given this year, we're hosting it virtually. I'm really super excited to be able to offer this opportunity for you because we're running a career week as well as the careers fair. So from Monday the 2nd of November right through to the Saturday, we're running a range of employer-led events throughout the day. That's on a range of different employers from different industries and sectors to help give you advice and guidance with your career. And then the Saturday, the 7th of November, is the actual fair. We've teamed up a online events platform called and all of the details we'll be able to share after the event as well. If you haven't already registered, please do. It's on that events page that I showed you earlier. If you've already registered, great. You'll soon be getting an email with how to access the event and start navigating the platform shortly as well. Sarah, will you have a list of companies on the careers fair before the event? Yes, absolutely. If you go to our careers fair webpage, so on the careers webpage of Birkbeck, we can share these links as well. But on the virtual careers fair webpage, it has a list of some of the employers that are attending, and we'll keep that up to date over the next couple of weeks as we build up to the fair as well. So before I wrap up, because I was conscious that I wanted to finish before 7 p.m, just in case there's any other questions that I can answer at the end. But do follow us on social media. As Ellen mentioned earlier, we are on LinkedIn. We're also on Insta, Facebook and Twitter. Really great way of just seeing updates from events, but also job opportunities with talent and just general updates that we think are going to be super useful for Birkbeck students and graduates as well. And we will share these slides afterwards, so don't worry too much if you don't capture all of those links. We do have a chance to win, so it is obviously we want to connect with as many of you as possible on social media, but for everyone who does follow us across our channels between now and the end of this month, so we've got a couple of weeks left, you'll have a chance to win a £50 gift voucher from Amazon. I know it's an incentive, but hopefully it's a good one as well to connect with us. And finally, because you're probably thinking, you know, Jenna's here from careers, Eleanor's here from talent, what's going on? Just to really make it clear what Birkbeck Futures is. So both of us are from Birkbeck Futures, which is ultimately the umbrella service for everything to do with your career. So it encompasses three main services: your career service, your enterprise service, and Birkbeck talent. So the career side of things is really about running skills workshops, one-to-one career support, running loads of employer events, coaching opportunities and interview practice. So all of sort of the key skills to progress in your career. The enterprise side, that's what I look after, which is awesome. So anyone who wants to start or grow their business, if you're self-employed or if you want to develop a business in the future, we do a range of events with startup founders, but also skills that are going to progress your business as well. And then finally, talent. Anna has mentioned quite a lot about that today because it is a really great way of just adding to the list of things that you can do to help with your job hunting as well. Just a final mention there, do check out the online careers portal through your My Birkbeck profile. And as I said, we will share all of the links, but they're there on the screen again as well. So that really does wrap the session. I'm hoping that you've got some tips to take away to progress your career virtually. So whether that's encouraging you to network as much as possible, I'm going to risk jumping back onto video just while we finish, just so you can see me in person as well. But hopefully that has given you a bit of a flavour for what you can do. So really encourage you to network, think about it super positively. I know not a lot of us like it, but it's a great opportunity to really progress your career, especially now that we're online. Hopefully you've got some tips to take away to enhance your LinkedIn profile, or we've given you enough of a convince you the reasons why LinkedIn is such a good profile and opportunity as well. You've got some job hunting tips, you've got information about futures, careers, enterprise and talent services, and some skills platforms that you can access as well. So if you've got any final questions, we will be hanging around for a few more minutes, so please do pop them into the chat. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much.